Starting with our top story of the day, the West Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees recently voted to raise water and sewer rates, starting with the July 1st meter read. This is in order to address inflation, aging infrastructure, and revenue shortfalls. Since this is a topic that will ultimately affect residents, especially during the summer months where water usage is up, many people have questions, and joining us on the Splash Live is West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Jonathan Warshay to answer some of those questions. Thank you for being here, Mr. Warshay.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. Good morning.
Thank you. And we just want to address some of these issues so we can answer some of these questions immediately and as soon as possible. Just starting with the why now. What were the most urgent factors that made this the right time for a water rate increase?
Well, I don't know that there's ever a right time for an increase, at least as far as the public is concerned, but we have 4 or 5 main things that occurred, events. One is Great Lakes Water Authority, from whom we buy our water, had a larger rate increase. Just to give folks a little background, it used to be Detroit Water that became Great Lakes, and when it became a regional water authority, they agreed not to have more than 4% increases for 10 years. Okay. That 10 years is up, so the rate was more than 4%. We also have 2 sewer systems that West Bloomfield is part of. Those are through the county. One covers more the northern part, one the southern part, and both of those had larger rate increases. Because we don't control either of those factors, we sort of have to go along for the ride. So that's part of it. We also, those systems needed capital improvements, and those extra costs get passed on to us as well. We also have aging infrastructure within the township. So a lot of our water mains were built 50 years or more ago, and those things have deteriorated, and we're going through a program to replace them. Right. Rather than have a break all of a sudden and put people in the lurch. So those are quite expensive. We're doing one, for example, in the West Acres area that we're going to work on. It was scheduled to be $11.5 million, and it's pushing 14. So those things all go into the water rate. And then the last thing, which sounds a little strange, is water loss through the system. Unlike your house, water pipes in the township and everywhere else will leak a little bit, the water mains. Great Lakes Water Authority had a bad meter, a giant meter that the township was using to measure the water that we use throughout the township. It was under-reading the amount of water that was being done, so they weren't charging us the full amount. Wow. They replaced the meter, and we went from, it was so defective, in fact, that sometimes we used more water than we got billed for. So now we're paying for it. So we lose about 10% of the water through the system. And just so folks know, we are doing a sound study where they use sound throughout the pipes to detect leaks. If it's a large leak, they fix it immediately. And if it's a smaller leak, then it goes on a list, and we'll be addressing all of those. And that way, we'll only be paying for the water that we actually use. And that'll decrease cost to some amount.
Wow, a lot of different factors, and I'm so glad you took the time to explain that, because it adds context and perspective to this situation where a lot of people are just going to get those bills and say, what's going on here? But now that you're added that information, I think it kind of explains a little bit more. Specifically with the infrastructure, I want to go into that. How does this decision support the township's long-term plan for infrastructure?
So we look through how old the pipes are in different areas, and if there's been issues, and those are the ones that get done sooner. We have capital improvement projects over the years, and so we try to get to all of the water mains as part of that. So we work in different parts of the township to replace those. Since we are talking about bills, I'll use mine as an example. My last water bill was a little over $200. So if my water usage is the same, my bill will go up $45, $50. Now that's a quarter, so we're talking $15 to $20 a month for my house. Now, folks that have more people in the house using water, or if they have a pool, they're certainly going to see a larger increase than that. Now, as I just said, we bill quarterly, so every 3 months you get a bill. I know that most people do their budgets monthly, so a quarterly bill is a little harder to budget for. So what we're planning to do next year is to go to monthly billing.
Okay.
That should make it easier on everyone. We've currently half our meters are smart meters. So what that means is the water usage gets fed into our water department 4 times a day for each house. And what that does, not so much that we're trying to see what people are doing, but if there's a leak, we'll know within a day, rather than somebody getting a bill after a quarter with a high amount. There's also an app called Eye on Water. So if your house has one of these smart meters, and I'll let folks know, if you don't have one now, we're still doing it. It'll probably be another 4 years before everyone is on the smart meters.
Okay.
But if you have a smart meter, you can have an app called Eye on Water, and it'll alert you to leaks. You tell how many people are in your house. You can indicate if you have a pool or if you're using sprinklers, so that it sort of educates it to know how much water usage to expect, and then it'll alert you if you are using higher than normal use water.
Seems like it's a very handy tool to keep in mind, and we're hoping that our audience took note of that and go ahead to find out how you can get one of those smart meters as well. But with me right here live on The Splash, by the way, we have West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Jonathan Warshay discussing the new vote from the West Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees raising the water and sewage rates that will go into effect July 1st, and we're just talking about the reason behind the increase as well. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we let you go is the cost of living and everything rising. Everything is getting more expensive, and now we have this to add on top of it. So I want you to address this. With the rising cost of living, how is the township working to ease the burden of these higher water bills for our lower income households or even our fixed income residents like our retirees?
Well, it's certainly, as I mentioned, getting rid of the leaks to reduce the costs is the biggest thing that we can do, and that's why we have those capital improvement programs. But folks can also get help if they need financial help for their bills. They can call our water department at 248-451-4780. And there's a couple of programs out there that folks can use for help. One is through the Great Lakes Water Authority, and the second is through the United Way. And again, if you call our water department at 248-451-4780, they will give you information on those programs, what you need to apply, that kind of stuff, so that you can get some help with your bills.
Great, and thank you for providing that information as well. We'll try to provide that to our audience as well, just as a recap. Mr. Warshay, we appreciate you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to take this time to explain to us this. Any additional key information you would like to let residents know before we let you go today?
Well, the approach we took was to sort of get the water rates back on track for now, so that we don't have to increase it as much later. And that's our goal. Of course, we're sort of at the mercy again of what Great Lakes Water Authority and the county does. We're hoping they keep theirs down, but by doing the jump now, hopefully it won't be so painful later. And I know that's not a lot of consolation, but that was the thinking of the board in doing so.
Yeah, and I mean, in the long run, essentially, it should save us a little bit of pain, and I completely understand that. And we thank you so much for your time and your information. Once again, West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, Mr. Jonathan Warshay.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.